We all love creepypastas, right? I myself am a creepypasta connoisseur, and I do have to say the quality has dwindled the past few years dramatically. So, I decided to make this series called Bad Creepypasta. What is Bad Creepypasta? Well, it's a series where we look at bad creepypastas. We critique them. So, who is the lucky pasta that's going to be featured in the inaugural episode of Bad Creepypasta? Let's see, let's take a look inside of the hat of ideas here. The Wizard of Oz 1936 version. So, grab your earplugs and your blindfolds. Let's get into this shit. I am not going to shout out my real name, but I want to tell you a story of this one of the most classic movies of all time that has been out for many years. Was a movie that everyone has seen as a kid was The Wizard of Oz. It was a very good movie of children's films along with Lion King, Ice Age, Moana, Frozen, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and lots of other children's films that have been our childhood for many years to come. To this day, what most people do know about Wizard of Oz is a children's movie that was made in 1939 before World War II, and was a movie that most of our grandparents and our parents have seen when they were kids, and they have shown us this movie when we were young. To this day, I have been watching this movie non-stop. To this day, as The Wizard of Oz was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I am a 18-year-old Wizard of Oz fan, and I love everything that is Wizard of Oz related stuff like movies, plays, books, and even toys. I've been collecting this kind of stuff for many years, but what I heard from people on Facebook is they said there was a violent version of Wizard of Oz on my group called Wizard of Oz for Everyone. The next day I got home from work to see a bunch of notification from people who were in my Wizard of Oz group. I never checked my group notification on Facebook often because I was busy with many other things in my life. But where's the fucking plural? Where's the S at the end of that? There was something someone posted about 20 minutes ago and it said, I know why The Wizard of Oz was not released in 1936 and it was never made to be seen to the public until 1939 was because this version was very violent and it was way too scary for children to enjoy watching. Then I scroll more and more through the group posts that I see. Someone also said that it had violence and even gore. I had no clue on what they were talking about, so I posted on my group that I was going to a garage sale this weekend to hope to find anything related to Wizard of Oz. People in my group said, hope you find something you like or that you don't have. The next day it was Saturday and it was around 9 o'clock in the morning, so I drove my car around to find a garage sale, which was hosted by an old man who appeared to be around age 75. Oh, here we go. Garage sale and old man cliche. Here we go. Even it looked boring enough. Maybe my luck will find anything with Wizard of Oz related things in the garage sale. But what the fuck is this English? What fucking country are you from? Obviously English is not your native tongue, and if it is, you should be ashamed. I parked my car and greeted the old man as he greeted me back. I looked around but did not find anything that I was interested in until I found a box of VHS tapes that were being sold for 10 cents a videotape. I looked inside the box to find some old movies that I liked. There was a few Disney tapes that I wanted to get, so I grabbed at least 4 VHS tapes that I did not have and that I want. Then I saw an odd VHS tape that had nothing on it but a sticker that was a blue star. It was a bit dusty, so I blew the dust away to see gold marker writing that said, Wizard of Oz, 1936. I was shocked because maybe the people in my Wizard of Oz group on Facebook were right about a violent version of Wizard of Oz, but I was still not sure if I should believe or not. I walked up to the old man and asked about the VHS with a blue star sticker on it, and I also asked the old man on where he got this strange VHS tape from. He said that years ago his grandfather and his father were employees on making movies around the 1930s and 1940s, and even the half of the 1950s, and he was given the strange VHS tape from his grandfather before he passed away. But he also told me that he never watched it when he got the VHS, so I paid him the VHS tape with the blue star sticker along with the other VHS tapes that I wanted, and drove home to check out the VHS tape with the blue star on the tape. When I got home, the first thing I did was I took a picture of it and send it through private messaging on Facebook to my group members of my Wizard of Oz group. They were shocked and told me I'm joking, not to watch it. I thought they were being silly, like I never want to know, but I wanted to see what this VHS has to say about what people have been saying. This is confusing. The sentence structure is just... So I went to my VCR and I blew the dust away from it after a while of not being used. I rewind the VHS tape, and as I waited for the tape to finish rewinding, I ordered pizza, and it was only 40 minutes before my pizza came. And I didn't have to pay any money for that bitch ass because 30 minutes or it's free. After the pizza came, the tape was all finished rewinding, so I grabbed myself a soda and along with the pizza sat myself onto the couch. My older sister along with my parents were working, so this was a great time for me to watch this strange VHS tape that I got at a garage sale that I went today. You went into a little too much description. It's like, I don't have fucking amnesia. I don't forget shit while I'm reading this. I remember where you got this from. I remember that it's strange. I remember that it's a VHS tape. I pressed play on my remote and the movie started playing. First there was the warning description which froze for 5 seconds, then played again. And then there was the MGM logo came on, and as the logo came on the screen started flickering. I was about to eject the VHS to find out why, when the screen started flickering. Well, why, when, who, why, where, how, who, why, where, how, I said who. Then the Wizard of Oz movie came on with opening credits, but I noticed something was odd. The music for the opening credits for the movie was playing backwards. Seems like this is a common trope for things that are lost. They just like to, place this in here, but like, hey, let's run this backwards. What showed on the opening credits were all the actors that I do know that play the characters in the movie. And that was all I know, and the rest were people that I had no idea who they were, and then the screen faded to black after the opening credits, and then the words came up on the screen saying copyright 1936. Run-on sentence. I knew this was what most people on my Wizard of Oz group on Facebook had been posting since I went to work a few days ago. Then the screen started to play the movie. It started off with Dorothy and her dog Toto. They were running away from thing it looked like, but it wasn't. What? What the fuck? Then the screen started to play the movie. The quality of the film was a bit shitty, so I could barely hear what Dorothy was saying, but what I picked up what she said was, "She tried to kill you, didn't she?" I was like, okay, hurt or something like that I'm okay with in a children's film, but killed? What the fuck? Dorothy never used the word kill in the movie. In fact, she was never like that in the movie at all. Oh, this is gonna be a fucking long one. Fucking fuck me right in the fucking ass. The next scene shows Dorothy trying to tell her Auntie Em and Uncle Henry about what was going on. But I noticed something on Auntie Em's face. She looked depressed, like if she was about to commit suicide or something. All she said was,
"Not now, Dorothy. I don't have time for your shit."
I was shocked of what her aunt said to Dorothy. There was never swearing in The Wizard of Oz. In fact, there was no swearing whatsoever at all. Dorothy was trying to confess something to her aunt and uncle, but she couldn't, so she ended up walking to a nearby haystack where she begins to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. While she was singing, the screen froze for 20 seconds. Then it played again, and I knew something is not right at all. After the song ended, it started to play the music where it was a sign that there was a character who Margaret Hamilton played in the movie. I knew who she was playing as the whole time, which she played as the Wicked Witch of the West and Mrs. Gulch. I never liked Mrs. Gulch since she was mean and nasty, but I liked the Wicked Witch of the West a lot more than Mrs. Gulch. She said, "Mr. Gale, I want to see your wife right away about
fucking Dorothy."
She said as in it sounded like she was mean and shouting, but it felt more of a scream to me. "What did Dorothy do?" asked Uncle Henry. "Her dog tried to bite the
living shit out of me,
and her dog bit my ankle," she said in a rough and gruff voice. Then the scene cuts to Mrs. Gulch in the house with Dorothy, Toto, and her aunt and uncle. That dog is a
fucking
mutant. I'm taking him to the sheriff and make sure he is cooked alive and destroyed. Then I was like, the fuck? Mrs. Gulch never swore in the movie at all. Then Dorothy tries to beg her aunt and uncle to not let Mrs. Gulch take Toto, when they did not, and they placed Toto in the basket so Mrs. Gulch could take him away. Dorothy then went away from the scene to cry as the scene cuts to Toto, who was able to escape Mrs. Gulch and get back home to Dorothy. As the scene cuts to Dorothy crying, it shows something that looked like bleach. Then I was like, what was Dorothy thinking? Suicide? Just because Mrs. Gulch took Toto? I knew it was hard to let an animal go, but committing suicide? Okay, now I notice that was taken too far. Toto jumped from the window, and Dorothy, who was able to turn around to be so happy that Toto came back. We got to get away. We've got to run away. It was what Dorothy said, as the next scene shows Dorothy along with Toto walking down the road where the music changed. It sounded like the Silent Heaven soundtrack from Silent Hill. It lasted for at least 2.5 minutes when Dorothy and Toto ran into Professor Marvel, who saw Dorothy and Toto walking. The scene of Dorothy and Toto in the cart went pretty normal until when Dorothy and Toto were returning home in a huge windstorm. I knew that this was the scene where there was a tornado storm. The next scene cuts to Annie M and Uncle Henry along with the rest of Dorothy's family. They went into the cellar to hide as Dorothy went inside the house with Toto screaming Auntie Anne's name for at least 50 seconds. I know, I have a timer. Then Dorothy was hit on the head by a broken window as the screen faded to black and said, "This is real, not fake. You're about to see the evil eyes of the wicked and screams of the fallen." Then the screen faded back to the movie and the scene where Dorothy, who was dreaming, wakes up and the scene was good, as if there was no bloopers or anything else. After the tornado scene ended, Dorothy wakes up as she and Toto walked out of the house to see that she was not in Kansas. "Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore." I knew that line ever since I watched The Wizard of Oz from the 1939 version of it. Then Glinda, who appears in a bubble, looked depressed. She was in that facial expression like if she was about to hang herself, much like Auntie M was prior to this, when she told Dorothy that she didn't want to
put up with her shit.
She asked Dorothy if she is a good witch or a bad witch, and she says, "Shut the fuck up, bitch. I'm not a witch. I'm Dorothy Gale from Kansas." I'm not kidding. This is in the fucking transcript. Then Glinda asked if Toto was a witch, and Dorothy replied saying that Toto was her dog and not a witch. Her voice, a gruff, and the song that Glinda with the Munchkins of Munchkinland sang the song, and it was very much like the 1939 version, when all of a sudden a big puff of smoke came up, and I knew it was the Wicked Witch of the West. She was having a evil smile like Freddy Krueger did in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. "I thought you said she was dead," Dorothy said in a shaky voice. Then the audio went so shitty that I could not hear a word Glinda told Dorothy about who the Wicked Witch of the West is when the witch walks up to Dorothy and she had the evil glare like Freddy Krueger did in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. "Did you kill my fucking sister, you whore?" My God. She screamed at Dorothy, but with the audio that improved after I could not hear what Glinda did. The scream that the Wicked Witch of the West did sounded like a ghostly scream. "No, it was an accident. I did not mean to kill anyone," Dorothy said. "Well, my pretty, since I don't give a fuck, you shall die." Simple bitches, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. The witch's line that made my spine shiver a bit also made me like, what the fuck? Why is the Witch of the West saying the Dorothy is a slut and stuff like that? Then Glinda, who looked angry herself, says, "Are you looking for the ruby slippers?" she asked. The Wicked Witch of the West, who was walking towards the ruby slippers, disappeared and was very angry. The rest of the scene went well like the 1939 version of the movie until this part happened. "Just try to stay the fuck out of my way. Just try. I'll fucking kill you, my pretty, and your little dog, too." Then I was like, that is not what she said in the movie from 1939. Well, obviously fucking not. So I don't even know why you had to make note of that. Then Glinda tells Dorothy to follow the yellow brick road to get to the Emerald City to see the Wizard of Oz. who will get Dorothy back home. She met up with the Scarecrow, who wanted a brain. They met up with the Tin Man, who wanted a heart. And soon they meet up with the Cowardly Lion, who wants to have courage. All that went well without any faults or anything. Not so kid-friendly until this scene appears with the Wicked Witch of the West, who was flying in the sky as... I can see what it says, just a line down. Wait till we get to that shit, I'm sorry. All that went well without any faults or anything not so kid-friendly until this scene appears with the Wicked Witch of the West, who was flying in the sky as Dorothy and her friends looked out from the inside of the Emerald City to see writing on the sky. I was shocked because it did not say, "Surrender, Dorothy." It said, "Fuck you, Dorothy." Then I almost started laughing because it was funny. See, even the pasta becomes self-aware at this point. Oh, I'm gonna shit myself. But then I said, why saying that in a children's movie? Dorothy and her friends walks up to the door to see the wizard and has talked to the guard on the door that they want to see him, but after a while, the guard tells Dorothy and her friends that the wizard says go away. Then Dorothy begins to break down into tears. I started to cry. It was very heartbreaking, but what the wizard said was mean. I stopped the video as I went to my washroom to splash my face with cold water. After around a half an hour of crying, wait, what the fuck? You cried for half an hour just because someone told Dorothy to go the fuck away? What the fuck? If you're that emotional, what the fuck? Man, your childhood must have been full of go-aways. I gotta go piss. Intermission time.
Attention. If you or a loved one were born after the year 1990, you may have been anally probed at birth and be entitled to financial compensation. Symptoms of anal probing by extraterrestrial beings may include a rash or irritation around the anus, a sharp pain in the anal region when moving, pus or blood discharge, a satellite protruding from the anus, or fiery flatulence. You may also be at risk of developing a rare and deadly disease classified as Ebola AIDS if you have been exposed to brain cell killing media such as reality television, political radio shows, or the internet. Please don't wait. Call now toll free at 1-800-FUCK-YOU for a free consultation. Because why not? You may get free money. There's literally nothing to lose except your life. That's 1-800-FUCK-YOU. 1-800-FUCK-YOU. Call now.
Okay, I'm back. I must have emptied like 5 times my weight in piss out of my body. So let's continue. After around a half an hour of crying, I went back to watch the rest of the film. It shows the guard letting Dorothy and her friends inside to see the wizard, who they told him what they want and why they came to see the wizard for. Then the wizard said, "Bring me the broomstick from the Wicked Witch of the West." Then the screen faded to black and then came on with the Haunted Forest. The music was sounding like it came from Five Nights at Freddy's 4 playing in the background. Yeah, we're dealing with a fucking oh, damn, what did I get myself into? This isn't an 18-year-old, this is a 9-year-old, this is... You know, after realizing this was a kid, I was about to stop the recording and just scrap this video altogether, but I think my voice is becoming too wrecked and my brain is becoming too fried from having to read grammatical errors on purpose to even give a fuck at this point. This is when things begin to mess up. The Wicked Witch of the West was looking into her crystal balls to see Dorothy and her friends in the Haunted Forest. "Take your army to the Haunted Forest and bring me that girl and her dog. I want you to burn the Scarecrow alive, pour acid to eat the Tin Man's skin inside out till he is nothing but a burning acid pile on the floor, and as for the lion, cut him open alive while hanging him upside down." The witch said that sounded like Freddy Krueger. Damn. You know, considering the Five Nights at Freddy's reference, you're probably a kid, but this is pretty messed up for a fucking kid. I was like, what the fuck? I thought Wizard of Oz was supposed to be for children and everyone to watch, not some crazy horror film. Then the next scene shows the flying monkeys heading towards Dorothy and her friends. Dorothy and Toto begin to run, but everyone else did not get as lucky as Dorothy and Toto were. One of the flying monkeys had a lighter and light the Scarecrow on fire. He was burning alive as the fire began to spread all over him. His screams and cries for help lasted for 15 seconds until he was nothing but burnt clothes and straw. 2 other flying monkeys poured acid on the Tin Man, which he began to melt very fast as the acid was eating the metal. It lasted for 6 seconds until he was nothing but a burning acid pile on the floor. Glad to know you're keeping time with that nifty little stopwatch of yours. The next scene shows the Lion being hanged upside down as the monkey took a sharp knife and started to cut him open. This scene is the most disgusting part of the flying monkey fight because the angle never changed at all. The Lion's organs begin to fall as he was soon having his head ripped off from one of the flying monkeys. The scene lasted for 30 seconds until the screen cuts to Dorothy and Toto trying to run away from the flying monkeys. Dorothy's friends were dead, but Dorothy and Toto were running away from the flying monkeys until she and Toto were both grabbed by the monkeys. The screen faded to black and cuts to the front of the Wicked Witch's castle. Then it shows the Wicked Witch of the West looking at Toto. She had hungry eyes as her mouth started to drawl. "What as nice little dog," she says as she puts Toto in a basket. "And you, my dear, what a unexpected pleasure. It's so kind of you to see me in my loneliness." Dorothy was strapped onto a table, which we never saw that in The Wizard of Oz from 1939. "What are you going to do with my dog? Give him back to me, please," Dorothy cries as she was begging the witch to give her back Toto. Certainly, when you give me those slippers," the Wicked Witch of the West said as she transformed into a lioness that looked a lot like Nala from The Lion King. "But Glinda told me not to," Dorothy said as the flying monkey took Toto from the basket and gave it to the green and black lioness. She began to eat Toto by biting him with her lioness teeth, and Toto was bleeding to death. He soon died at least 15 seconds later after oozing blood from his body. Then the lioness who was green, by the way, thank you for reminding me that the lioness was green. I frankly forgot, even though it was just one line up. Then the lioness who was green used magic to disappear all the bones from inside Toto, and then she ate him whole like a snake eating an animal whole. "That was good, my pretty." The green and black lioness, by the way, thank you for reminding me once again. I forgot even though it was another line up. Transformed back into the Wicked Witch of the West with blood on her teeth and blood stains on her black dress, which they were heard to see. Then the Wicked Witch of the West put on her Freddy Krueger knife gloves. Oh my fuck. Are we seriously insinuating here that somehow Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street ripped off the Wicked Witch of the West's knife gloves from the 1936 version of The Wizard of Oz, who no one has ever seen before? Anyway, then the Wicked Witch of the West put on her Freddy Krueger knife gloves and walked towards Dorothy, who was crying but was also angry. "You fucking ate Toto, you were such a slut who slept with the wizard." What the fuck? Who slept with the wizard? This was just something put in to shoehorn another confusion moment, because it says after this, then I was like, since when did the Witch of the West ever had sex with the wizard? Whatever Dorothy said, I end up acting like the fuck. Then the Wicked Witch of the West begins to shout back, "You, my pretty, are my dinner." I'm gonna puke. She laughs as she cuts Dorothy open and eats her organs. I felt like I was going to be sick at this point, but after 20 seconds, the witch ate Dorothy until she was nothing but a flesh corpse on the table. She was able to get the ruby slippers as the screen faded to black and cuts to Kansas, where Annie M and Uncle Henry walked into Dorothy's room to see blood and cuts all over the room, and they screamed in horror as the screen faded to the ending credits that said, "The End." And the cast was all the same, and the screen faded to black and then cuts to static. I ejected the VHS tape as I was so scared of this horror version of The Wizard of Oz. I stayed up till like 3 in the morning because I could not sleep after I watched Dorothy being killed. The next day I went to my Wizard of Oz group on Facebook and messaged everyone in my group of what I saw. I end pictures and even a few videos of the footage in private messaging, since I did not want to post it for everyone on Facebook to see because Facebook could ban me from the website. Everyone in my Wizard of Oz group were shocked about what I found, so I decided to talk to the old man on what I saw when I went to his garage sale. I was lucky enough to remember the street name and house number at the same time. I was then so thrilled to remember the VHS tape. The old man walked by inside his house as I sat down with him on the couch. He asked me on the VHS tape that it said, Wizard of Oz, 1936, and I told him when I watched it and what I saw. I showed him photos and a few videos of the footage that I saw. The old man was shocked about it and said to throw it away when I got home. So after my visit with the old man, where I got the VHS tape from that said Wizard of Oz 1936, thank you for reminding us what it said and what it was, I threw away the tape, and a week later I went to see if the tape was in the garbage. It wasn't. I looked around my whole house, but it was nowhere to be found. I never seen the VHS tape again. If you come across a VHS tape with a blue star sticker on it that says Wizard of Oz 1936, just don't watch it or your childhood will be ruined. Promise. Oh my god. I don't think I have ever recorded for nearly an hour. It's 54 minutes right now on the recording. I had to do so many of these parts over and over again because I just couldn't read bad grammar on purpose. I feel like just fucking taking a cold shower and going to bed. This fried my brain. If you're gonna write a creepypasta, please write it in your native tongue and proofread it. In cliches out the ass. Okay. Yard sale, old man, strange dusty VHS tape. Need I say more? Yeah, I know. Creepypastas on lost episodes or lost films or whatever, lost media, in and of itself is really cliche. I myself enjoy a lost episode creepypasta when it's actually unique. You can't really write them unique anymore. And if the creator of this creepypasta ever comes across this video, please don't take it in a way that is made to try to steer you away from what you want to do, but rather take it as advice to improve yourself. Because if you put up something like this, someone's going to tear it apart way worse than I did, and in a really mean-spirited way. So please don't take my critique the wrong way. This is just for comedy, and really, my actual critique would be for you to not give up, but to get better at it. I'm not one of those people that hands out participation awards to people who present me pieces of shit stuck to their shoe, for instance. But if you want to write a good pasta, you gotta avoid cliches. You gotta use correct grammar. And please, for the love of God, back off on the Freddy Krueger similarities. Take out the knife hand part. That just ruins the whole thing. And please, also, for the love of God, don't reference a kitty-ass fucking horror video game, please. That just ruins any creepy vibes that might have been left in this story, through and through. Anyway, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna chop all this shit up. This recording's been going on for an hour. I'm delirious. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button, and if you're not already, please subscribe and hit notifications to be notified when I upload next. And you know what? If you want to stay connected, don't just subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at uTonical, and join my Facebook group, uTonical, for everyone. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Fuck me.